All right, let's call this meeting to order. This is Board of Finance, Thursday, February 17th, 6 o'clock. Please note this meeting is being conducted using electronic equipment in compliance with State Law, Public Act 21.1. As such, the meeting is being recorded and will be available to the public in compliance with state law. If you're attending remotely, please remember to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Anyone participating remotely should state their name, title, if applicable, at the outset of each occasion that such person is speaking. All votes taken during which any member of the body is participating remotely should be taken by roll call unless the vote is unanimous. The chat feature will not be utilized during this meeting. All right, let's call to order.
Mike, you there?
Yep. Can you guys could not hear me?
No. No.
Great. All right, I read that whole thing for nothing. Let's start over.
No. We
you got
heard that.
All right.
We just.
Ron, you don't have to
Let's
yell.
call to order then.
You're speaking to this. That's okay, but
Yeah, we heard
What's
the preliminary
Great,
stuff.
we're good.
We just,
Great.
I don't know if you got to roll call yet. But
I
we'll
didn't get to
that.
roll call, so let's do the roll call. Steve Hirsch,
Steve is here.
Mary Hall,
I'm here.
Greg Benno,
I'm here.
Dane Percepci.
I'm here.
All right. Is that all we got? That's all I'm seeing on my phone. Is Rebecca in? I didn't see her, but there's one number I didn't recognize. Rebecca. I don't see Rebecca. All right. Can we have an approval for the meeting minutes and voting record of January 20th?
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes and the voting record for January 20, 2022.
Mike,
We have a
I'll
second?
second it. I'll second it. It's
Very good.
Mary
Thank you,
Hall.
Mary. Thank you very much. Do you have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sure.
Aye.
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman,
right. Yes.
before we proceed, if you want, we have to add the tax collectors refund motion to
Correct.
the
Yeah,
to
would you
new
make a motion
business
to add
item
it to the
C?
agenda? Right.
I'll,
Please do.
I'll make a motion to add to add tax collector suspense recommendations as item C under new business.
Great. Thank you, Steve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. First selectman.
Thank you, Mike. The only thing I was going to bring up, although I realize the budget is not yet with Board of Finance, it's with council, but I did give my presentation to council Monday night. That presentation's up on the website along with the full budget document, monroect.org/budget. Also included in the packet is the preliminary meeting schedule, which I went through with the chairs of each council and Mr. Manjos. I think that's on your agenda for later on anyway, so we don't really need to talk about it any further, but obviously we'll keep that up to date as any revisions and additions are added to that. Other than that, that's all I got.
Perfect. Next is public participation. Do we have anybody from the public who wishes to speak? Second call for public. All right, hearing none. Unfinished business, the 3-year budget model. We'll talk a little bit about that when we speak about O'Connor Davies, because we did have some conversation with them about that. So we'll jump into that. So let's move right into new business review of O'Connor Davies' proposed letter for 2022. Ron, you want to speak to this?
Sure. So in your packet is the proposal that PKF O'Connor Davies gave for the to provide the audit for fiscal year 22. It represents from a financial perspective, it represents about an 8% increase year over year. On page 2, he outlined the reasons for that. And that's pretty much it from my perspective. I mean, we've had them now. They've been auditing the town since 2015. So that this would be our, see, the 15 audit. I'm gonna say it's our 8th year using them, but it might have started in 14 actually.
All right. So as we discussed, we want to go out for a rebid next year. I think this with the slightly extended scope because of the state requirements that I think he outlined in the thing. I'm okay with the numbers. I don't know if anybody has any further questions or comments on this.
Mike, I have a question. It's Mary Hall.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Ron, I know the 8.9%, the town budget for this current year was 50,000, was 50,000. So how are we getting the 8.9% increase? If it's 45.9 now.
So the current, and again, that budget, that audit budgeted number has other things included besides the actual fee to the audit firm. It's got we pay a fee to our actuaries for providing some services related to the audit. So the audit, the current year number of 50,000, it also is only the municipal side. It is not the Board of Ed side. That's budgeted separately by the Board of Ed.
So Ron,
The all-in number for this year is 70,800 for just audit services.
okay, that's what I was looking for because I was looking on the Board of Education budget and I didn't see a specific audit fee. I saw, outside services. So I figured it was buried in that. Is that correct?
It's not in out, from an object code, it may be, no, I don't think it's in outside services. It's.
Because there's like $1 million in those, in that line item on Board of Education.
Management, extra custodial security.
Ron, that's okay. If you don't have it right now, maybe you could just
Actually,
send me an
I've
email.
got it up on my computer back at my desk, but
Okay.
you want to, I'll tell you what, want to give me a second, but so the all-in fee, and that's on our engagement letter we signed with them last year, 70,800. So
Okay.
that's the number you want to compare apples to apples to the 76,450.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank
All
you.
right.
That was my question.
Am I
Thank you,
talking
Mary.
out loud?
Yeah, you are.
God.
You are.
You know,
That's
I'm
all
going
right.
to take my mask off.
Thank you.
I am.
All right. Anybody else have
This is
any
my Board of
questions or
Ed voice in that
concerns?
bigger room.
Anybody else have anything questions, concerns?
Now, do we need to formally vote on recommending this? Because I assume this also has to go to council.
Yes.
Well, the actual engagement letter will have to go to council for them to approve the engagement, but the Board of Finance does need to formally appoint them as our auditor.
Correct. So let's make a motion, Steve.
Steve Kirsch, I'll move to appoint PKF O'Connor Davies as our auditor for fiscal year 2022.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, Dave. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you, guys. So as Ken said, I met with him and council and Board of Ed discussing budget dates. We did put a proposed schedule together. We'd like to make 2 minor tweaks. The March 17th date, which is Thursday, Steve has a conflict with. It's also St. Patrick's Day, which might not be the best day ever to have our public hearing, because Lord knows the comments we'll get. So I'm going to propose moving that date to the 16th, which is Wednesday that week. It doesn't conflict with any other meetings and will allow us to have a public hearing and I think have a big room if we need it. And then also on the 31st and the 7th, I'd like to propose a start time of 6:30 to just make some scheduling a little easier. Does anybody else have any comments on the dates as proposed? Any thoughts on the quantity? It's typically what we've done. Council has set up a meeting, a joint meeting on their schedule that we'll start with, and then we'll go into ours when we get it.
Mike, this is Steve. You're saying 6:30 on the 31st and on the 7th?
Correct.
Okay, I have one other possible change, although we don't necessarily have to do it now. The last date on the 14th. I hear a lot of noise.
Yes, sorry, but I'm in a public place.
Oh,
my
okay.
option here. Sorry about that.
No problem. On the 14th, Mike, I may end up being out of town, but I would also point out that Friday is Good Friday and the start of Passover and school break. So I wonder whether people will be traveling for people who might be going away, and whether we might want to move that back one day.
The reason doing the 14th was to basically give us a few extra days if we needed to before it was due to the first selectman. I wouldn't have a problem moving it to that Wednesday unless Steve can speak to any kind of conflict. If that's an issue, if we're afraid people are going to be out of town that weekend, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean,
so Ken,
to
do you
me,
have any thoughts on that?
There is a possible conflict with Zoom licenses that evening because there's 2 other meetings already going on.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we leave that one as Thursday the 14th? And as we get closer, we can certainly juggle this schedule. We don't have to firm it up.
Yeah.
Perfect. So let's do that.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
Okay.
And I just
wonderful.
I just want to make sure just to point out and be clear. So the March 17th meeting is your regular
right. So we're just going to move that to
so-
the 16th. Right.
So
it'll be a
that would
special meeting.
So that would be canceled and a special meeting would be done the day
Correct.
before for not just
Right,
your
so
public
the-
hearing, but your regular
correct.
meeting as well. Right.
Yeah, we just got to make sure we have
Yep.
everything locked in for the agenda because we can't make an agenda change on a special meeting.
Correct. All right. Very good.
Perfect. Very good. All right. Thank you, guys. Let's move on to.
Hey,
general
Mike, before
fund.
you move
Yep.
on, could I just,
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry,
Ron.
I'm yelling again.
You are
I
yelling.
apologize. I keep yelling, guys. Mary, I think you were correct. That was 753,400 other professional services. That's the object code it was in.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Ron.
Thanks,
All right.
Ron.
So let's jump into general fund budget report. Ron, anything you want to call out here?
You want to do this?
Suspense.
Spence?
Well, I forgot suspense. It's not on my agenda. Sorry about that. Let's jump into suspense.
Give me
Deb, you
one.
want to speak to suspense?
Yes, this is the annual thing we do. By state statutes, we have to put items in suspense, and what we have been and the practice we have been doing after collections after 2 years, if the tax collector and the collection agency cannot collect, we put those items in suspense because we feel that it's been 2 or 3 years before that we have, diligently went after these people and with no response. And the real estate is the real estate that we're putting in suspense is the properties we took over by tax sale a couple years ago. And we just need those off our books.
Okay.
Okay. Steve, you want to make a motion?
Yes. Give me one second here so I get it all right.
Take your time.
Okay, the first one we'll do is the motor vehicle suspense Resolved in accordance with section 12-165 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the list of motor vehicles and motor vehicle supplemental delinquent taxes totaling $55,056.26 as identified by the tax collector's letter of February 10th, 2022, be placed in suspense as they are deemed uncollectible on the tax records, and that the full list be incorporated into the minutes of the meeting.
Do we have a second?
So when I leave, just don't.
Second. Second, this is Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Any further discussion? Any questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Steve Kirsch, aye.
Very good. Thank you. Now we can move on to
Nope.
General
you've
fund
got-
report.
No, you've got a
Got
second
two
one.
more
in
to
there.
do.
You've got
What?
personal property.
Oh, jeez. All this work I got to do.
Yeah, well,
Go ahead.
hold on. Resolved in accordance with section 12-165 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the list of personal property delinquent taxes totaling $75,427.73 be placed in suspense as they are deemed uncollectible on the tax records. This is not an abatement of taxes, and every effort will be made to collect them, as this has been documented in the tax collector's letter of February 10th, 2022, and that the full list be incorporated into the minutes of the meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. Do we have a second?
I second it. It's Mary Hall.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Steve Kirsch,
Aye.
aye.
Aye. This is Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Mayor? I don't think I got everybody on that one. Did we get Mary on that one?
Yeah, aye. Sorry.
Great. No problem. Thank you.
Oh, this is the town part of the tax sales.
All right, Steve. Are we done or was that?
I hope we're done. Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got, no, no.
You got one more.
No,
Got one more.
One more for real estate.
You need to give me a little bit more heads up. Okay.
What fun is that?
Yeah, what fun is that? Okay. Resolved in accordance with section 12-165 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the list of real estate delinquent taxes totaling $3,188.78 be placed in suspense as they are deemed uncollectible on the tax records, and that the full list be incorporated into the minutes of the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Very good. Now we're gonna move on. All right, Ron, general fund. What do you got for us?
All right, on the expense side, I'll try not to yell. On the
I'm very
expense side,
impressed.
nothing's really tracking out of line there. Revenues, I won't speak to property tax revenues. I'll save that for Deb, but licenses and permits, we're at 83% of budget already. The big one there is town clerk fees are tracking, already at 96% of budget. Intergovernmental, we're gonna hit everything. We're not expecting to not receive the ECS and we already received the municipal stabilization grant, which are the two biggies there. Charges for service are right at 50% of budget. I think we'll, I think the treasurer will hit his number. So
Perfect.
I think on the revenue side, we're fine.
Got it.
No issues there.
Great. All right, tax
So
collector.
I don't know if anyone has any questions while we're,
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it as like, we're gonna be spending the next 6 weeks kind of working on budget. So I figure we're gonna go through everything current and future in the next couple of weeks.
Mike, I just have one question, and
Sure.
is Joe on the phone? It's Mary Hall. Is Joe on the
No,
phone?
Joe had a conflict tonight. He did call me this afternoon and said that he would not be here tonight, but we have a couple sessions set up with him at the future, and they're gonna bring in special ed to our budget meeting as well to go through everything there.
Okay, so then maybe, Ron, maybe you can answer this, and maybe this special ed. If I look at tuition private on the Board of Education operating expenses, last month's report, they were about $25,000 expected to be over. This month, it jumped to 352,000. Can you explain that? Over?
I can explain it to a certain level of detail, and that's it. Yeah, there were some students outplaced.
There were, excuse me, I'm
There
sorry.
were students outplaced.
Okay,
Yeah, outplacements is really where we see the jumps, which is why I asked him to have the special ed people come in and meet with us at our next meeting. So we'll go through special ed in detail there. They did have a bump up, again, because of the outplacements. I think what was happening was because of COVID, nobody wanted to be outplaced. So we saw a big drop from what we had originally planned. So I think that was the bump up we've seen. But we'll get a full report next month.
okay. So, Mike, just one last question. Is that possibly going to put the Board of Education budget at jeopardy for this year?
So right now, special ed as a whole is still tracking okay, Barry. There's still a substantial, specifically related to special ed. They're tracking fine because of transportation. And again, when you have someone who's outplaced, and depending on the outplacement, and the couple in this case do not require transportation.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Ron. All right, tax collector.
Things like the grant catch-up.
Okay, at the end of January, we were tracking the same as last year, but we always have to take into account that people mail their payments, and we still have another day of collections in there. So we are tracking about the same as we were last year at this time. I ran the report today. We have like 200,000 more to collect than we hit budget. Reminder notices went out and lien notices went out last week. So people are paying. So I think we're on a very good track, and hopefully we'll have somewhat a surplus again this year.
Mike, this is Steve.
Perfect.
I've got one question or one
Sure.
subject for you, Deb. Is there some reason that personal property runs
Yes,
behind?
why it was low?
Yeah, I mean, it's relative to last year about the same, but why is it so much lower than the other?
Because we have some big people who wait to the last day to pay, which is February 1st. We have Eversource, the gas company, and Aquarian always pays the last day, and it's always February 1st. So right now, I'm tracking my personal property is at 94% collectible right now. That's why
Okay,
those few big dollar people wait to the last day.
that was
I
exactly
mean,
where
till
that was.
February 1st.
Thank you. That's exactly where I was going. Whether this was just a few people with big dollars.
Yeah,
or
the big
bunch of
dollar
people.
people play the last day of the month. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Traditional.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great.
you're welcome.
All right, treasurer.
All right, so as Ron said,
Mr.
it looks
O'Hara
like
is back in the country.
back in the country.
Thanks. Nice to have you back.
Thank you. Good to be back. Well, kind of. As Ron said, it looks like we're going to make the budget this year. The stiff rate, which is what a lot of the dollars that stay liquid is invested at, is what, 0.11 still, which is pretty anemic. It's all pretty anemic. We've been running about $23 million in 3-month CDs, 13-week CDs. Those are being renewed right now. And it looks like that rate is going from 0.20 to 0.25. So what's that? A 25% increase. Don't spend it all in one place. And that's about it.
I'm sure with rates going up, we'll be able to boost your budget a lot next year. So
Yeah,
hang on tight.
I'm not holding my breath on all this rate increase stuff. I mean, yeah,
We'll see where it lands.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, Joe again was unable to make it tonight, but he did call me, and we are going to schedule a lengthy time for next meeting, so we will deal with that. So I think we are pretty much wrapped up. Unless anybody's got anything else. All right, so guys, buckle up. We're going to have a big month in the next 6 weeks to really work. Ken did an amazing job. I think with the budget, we got a lot of help from the grand list, which is going to make our life a lot easier this year, but we're going to do a lot of looking forward to next year as we're working. So I know we have a lot of new people, but this is going to be, I think, a really strong budget year. So I'm looking forward to getting to work on it. Other than that, somebody make a motion.
Team effort.
Steve Kirsch, motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Steve. All right, everybody have a great weekend.